This is Comic Fix by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, what do you have on tap for us today?
Oh, well, it's like this is something that's been a long time in coming. Probably since, it's like we did the first podcast on right it's like Power House of X, Powers of X. Um when Jonathan Hickman got the remit to reinvent the X-Men. It's like on his own terms and send them off to their island paradise. It's like Krakoa. And it's like and as everyone's known, it's like I'm a big fan of the X Men. I've been reading them for decades now. It's like, and Hickman's reinvention of them was really good. It's like I really enjoyed what he did with this with these up to 6 issue miniseries right here, and I loved seeing what he did with them, like as he was at the helm of things while he was doing the X Men proper mini ongoing series. Well, it's like up until the point where we got the most polite mutiny in the course of Marvel Comics. Basically, in the sense that while he had his plan for for how all the X Men stuff is going to go, like the people working with him on the other X Men titles basically said hey, we kind of want to keep running with this for a while now, and we don't want to actually go with your the designated plan. And so Hickman was like, okay, fine. So he basically left. He got to wrap up some of the specific stuff that he was doing with the Inferno miniseries. It's like, and then you got Jerry Duggan taking over X-Men like adjectiveless proper, and Kieran Gillen taking over the Quiet Council. With the Immortal X-Men. Now, if you want to say this is like the most polite mutiny, well, that's because Hickman is still working with Marvel enthusiastically, it would appear, because he's showrunning ultimate ultimate Marvel stuff that has since come out. And I'm while I enjoyed his initial Ultimate stuff, it didn't quite have the shock of the new that I was expecting from it. But then that being said, I'm willing to see what he's going to do with Ultimate Spider-Man. See hey, maybe this is going to be really good and all, but still he's doing that, and also he's doing Aliens versus Avengers with Asad Rabik, his collaborator on Secret Wars, among other things. And if you want to say, when I say Aliens versus Avengers, I mean capital A aliens. That's xenomorphs versus Avengers, and hopefully it's he'll give something that is really like clever and inventive compared to what I've been reading with what if Carter Burke survived aliens, which I'll have some thoughts on that eventually. But getting back to X-Men, well, after Hickman left, it was left to Kieran Gillen and and Jerry Duggan and Al Ewing. It's over in Sword and subsequently X-Men Red to kind of steer the fate of the franchise, and they did good stuff. Also, along with Simon Spurrier, who I appreciate, Marvel giving him extra rope after Way of X didn't quite click with everyone, but also with doing a mutant cop show in Legion of X, and then joining the fun with Gillen and Ewing in the Sinister event, which is great fun, and one of the best X-Men stories of recent memory. But in the end, though, turns out that sales dictate that hey, even if I don't know what sales are like, because nobody knows what sales were in terms single issue comics right now. There's been plans to talk about what they're getting a metadata project going, but apparently it's still maybe a year or two off at this point. But you get the feeling that if sales were really good, then we wouldn't be heading to the end of the Krakoan era. The Krakoan era would just still be the dominant force, in the X-Men universe and all. So basically, it's like here we are with like basically a two-phase end to the Krakoan era. Basically, the fall of X, which is basically like 5 or 6 months where Orcus, the anti-mutant like science organization that is basically being run by humans who really don't like mutants, but is also being masterminded by um, artificial intelligences who have come back from a future where mutants have tried to wipe them all out, and and just as they are trying to promote AI supremacy over everything else. Well, that's basically what we did for like 5 months through the whole fall of X thing, and it's basically yeah, it was just basically kind of things suck for mutants. Like if you're just reading Jerry Dugan's X-Men, but I guess like the big problem with this side on the period is that he was basically saying that things are just bad for mutants, and that's really annoying because things are always bad for mutants. It's like, and Dugan just like leaned into that, and in the hope that hey, after that he'd just be doing like 5 months of things with mutants, like you're fighting back and things are good. The problem with that is that Dugan didn't really have a solid like storyline that he was like promoting through his run on X-Men. Contrary to that, Al Ewing had the story of the like Iraq Iraqi mutants on on Mars to work with, and the whole contrasting them versus what they were like prior to like the whole Ten of Swords event, and also just like having the Genesis Genesis fight Storm in terms of hey, whose mentality is right, for leading mutants, like it's like like violent combat above all else, or is it just like showing empathy for your and concern for your fellow mutants? Like no points given which one went out, and also Guylan with his run on Ultimate X-Men. No, not Ultimate X-Men. I just does a brain fart right there. Him doing Mortal X-Men. It's like he clearly had an ongoing storyline planned for this, and this is backed up by him talking about it on his newsletter, where he said I was only writing one book throughout all this, and that's a great philosophy to have because he's basically writing the best Mr. Sinister story we've read since I've been following the character, while he was just being the really creepy science guy throughout the 90s, doing mysterious stuff and talking about oh, there's a third Summers brother and all that kind of thing. Guylan made him into a fabulous self-centered mutant monster, who was just trying to himself above all other concerns, and that carried through to his run on Immortal X-Men. It's and also in the the Sins of Sinister event as well, where he basically got everything that he wanted, only to find out that a lot of people were a lot better at doing that stuff than he was, and seeing Sinister suffer and struggle through his new status quo, in the Fall of X era, was a lot of fun. It's and Guylan did a great job in just basically showing that hey, I've got a ongoing storyline that I'm promoting through my own title that is also going to continue on to this Krakoan era finale as well, because finally it's to talk about the Krakoan era finale, there's a lot of stuff here. In fact, Marvel has a big old reading list for it on on Marvel Unlimited, which is what I've been reading through here. And thanks to them for doing this now, because here's the thing, they want you to get on board with their new latest X-Men relaunch, because X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, it's Wolverine, it's X Factor, it's Extraordinary X-Men, and NYX. They're all getting relaunches. And they want you to jump on board right now. read this, digitally and then buy them physically. So good on Marvel for recognizing market forces are want all their stuff to be like being read digitally before you get the physical stuff. That being said, let me tell you right out now, you don't need to read Wolverine. You don't need to read X-Force. You don't need to read Cable. You don't need to read the Invincible Iron Man that Jerry Dugan was also writing. You don't need to read Miss Marvel Mutant Reference. You don't need to read Dead X-Men. That is not to say that a lot of these. There's not to be a judgment call on a lot of these titles, except for Dead X-Men, because I did read that because I heard that it was relevant to the like it's like to the multiple universe time travel stuff that the main series were trafficking in, and I can say that it kind of is, but you can get the gist of it just by reading the main stuff, and you don't need to read on the series itself. So yeah, it's so Wolverine, X-Force, Cable, and Miss Marvel may be quite good, on their own terms, but they're not relevant to the story that is being told through these core titles: Rise of the Powers of X, Fall of the House of X, X-Men, and Resurrection of Magneto. In fact, I guess you might say that hey, maybe Resurrection of Magneto isn't quite necessary, but the thing is, that is basically Al Ewing's victory lap for his work on Sword and X-Men Red, and it's a good character driven work. It's tries to lay out the state of a resurrection after things have fallen apart, on Krakoa, and showing you hey, what how Storm tries to do right by her new comrade Magneto. It's and also to give Magneto a new mentality going forward. On one hand, it's I can appreciate what Al Ewing is doing in terms of giving us a Magneto who's in control of his rage, someone who acknowledges his supervillain past, his anger towards those like those who have been done wrong by minorities who have been done wrong by the majority. It's and I can understand him trying to give us a version of Magneto who accepts all that going forward. Problem is that he's not the guy who is dictating this stuff going forward. He's just saying okay, here's my idea. You guys are going forward. I understand. I guess Jed MacKay, who's writing Magneto in in X-Men, going forward from here. It's well, so I guess we just have to hope that MacKay read this stuff and just acknowledges hey, this is the right way to go. I want to go ahead and do this stuff. Or maybe he just read this and go, yeah, it's I get what you're saying, but I'm just going to write Magneto as just being the anti-hero for humanity going forward. You understand, right? I mean, I'm just the guy who's writing him now. So it's Resurrection of Magneto is good. I'm gonna pick it up in physical format, but at the same time, though, it's it's kind of Al Ewing just trying to basically saying, leaving a whole lot of notes for the people going forward, saying, hey, this is what I think you should do. This is how I think you should make all this stuff square, which is what has gone before, and you just gotta hope that everyone's gonna listen to that going forward. So, but everyone else does a good job of well, okay. Basically, when I say everyone else, it's I'm just talking about two people, Kieran Gillen and Jerry Dugan. It's they're basically the guys who are masterminding the majority of this storyline, because Dugan is doing the present day stuff, which is basically detailing the X-Men's fight against Orcus in Fall of the House of X, and also the tie-in issues from X-Men. Gillen is doing the finale to his Mr. Sinister story, which is where we find out that it turns out that Nathaniel Essex was actually planning, recognized that that humanity was going to go in one of four different directions, like adapting technology, from post-humanity, from from mutants, from magic, or from aliens or cosmic forces. And he set out four different characters to adapt to adopt that, Mr. Sinister for mutants, Dr. Stasis for post-humanity, um, it's Mother Righteous for magic, and Orbis Stellaris for for aliens, and other science stuff. So that's the storyline that Galen is pursuing there. And it turns out, and the big twist. Okay, I guess it's I gotta point this out that if you haven't been following this stuff beforehand, then here's how going on. This is like the full spoilers for everything that has gone before this stuff. Basically, it turns out that the big twist is that all these four sources were meant to feed into another source, basically the Sinister, called Enigma. And basically, once all these different sources found out the end result of their other sources of study, then they were going to feed them into the original program known as Enigma. He was going to become a Dominion, basically the ultimate intelligence that exists outside of time. Basically, if you're wondering, what happened, what was going on with you're a ghost stuff from Galen's Immortal X-Men run, or why Sinister wasn't able to ascend as a Dominion at the end of the Sins of Sinister storyline. This is it, because Enigma had already become the Dominion, and basically that's what Galen's Rise of the Powers of X issues, along with its other tie-in issues from X-Men Forever, which are basically just 4 more issues of Immortal X-Men, are about. Basically, Rise of the Powers of X is all about trying to the resolution of the Enigma storyline. Basically, showing you what Professor X has done in order to try and stop the rise of Enigma. And when he realizes that can't be done, well, what comes next? Well, Professor X, he's someone who's always been teased as having being more ruthless than the hey, I have a dream where mutants and humans can live together. Well, it's he's kind of given up on that to the point where he realizes that hey, this is where this timeline I've lived with Moira and Magneto has gone. Because Moira McTaggart, our X-Men's good science friend who's revealed to have a mutant power where whenever she dies, she resets the timeline. Well, this also plays into this storyline as well, because Xavier realizes that if it might just be better to just end this whole Krakoan experiment by just killing Moira before her her mutant powers of resetting the timeline emerge. And that's the initial part of Rise of the Powers of X. Now, Fall of the House of X, which is all the present day stuff, where you've got Cyclops going through the mock trial. It's of Orchis putting him through the mock trial, you're being responsible for all the bad drugs that that were that you sold humanity, and also wound up killing them, but we also just we're tainted them in our own terms, and ha ha ha, because we're evil. It's it's fine, it's all right, it's good, but it's basically just after 5 months of suffering, well, now we're just going to go ahead and just kill, just we're going to go into like like have the X-Men just go ahead and like win the fight like against against Orcus. Like we're going to have like people in Orcus side realize that maybe we're on the wrong side, like and also just hey, it's like with Nimrod it's like the AI Sentinel with who's influenced by future intelligence. Well, it's like he's going to go and it's like and run things on his own as well. So it's basically just it's like good stuff. Well, no, it's good stuff. It's fine. It's like it's X-Men just it's like just doing their just doing their stuff. It's like and just fighting against like the evil AIs that have been like running things. It's like up to this point. So it's all right, but it's like it just kind of like feels like it's just like be very very boilerplate plotting, and also biggest problem is that Dugan doesn't really have an ongoing storyline that he's been running, like that Guylan has. I mean, yeah, he's got like subplots such as Sync and Talon, the version of Laura Kinney that was that went with him into the like the vault back in Hickman's X-Men run. It's like them dealing with their like with their storyline, and also like there's some fun like Marvel cameos such as Spider-Man helping it's like helping Miss Marvel like fight things out and like deal with the X-Men with the like tainted drugs subplot, but and also like the like Doctor Doom's X-Men. It's like as well, which is also cute as well. But it's basically just hey, like it's like the storyline basically just says that it's time for the X-Men to just win things now, and that's basically what a lot of Dugan stuff kind of feels like. It's like coalesced around, and that's all right, but it just feels like really kind of like formulaic and prosaic as well. It's not inventive, but it's not bad. But you kind of wish that he had been like like telling his own like X-Men story in the same way that Guyan had been doing with Sinister, and also that he does with like over the course of like the rise of the powers of X, and also like his tie-in issues of X-Men Forever, because those are really like key to the series, even if like there's a lot of like like really dopey like alternate like universe stuff in terms of like hey, this stuff has to happen in order for like the story to make sense. And also I'm sure that Don was just like saying, hey, like Jean Grey is dead, so if we kill her, it's like and like in order to rebirth the Phoenix, we get like infinite like Phoenix life. And I'm like, that makes no sense. And I'm sure Gillen was like, woo-hoo. He's just running off making like Three Stooges noises because like he thought it was like so dumb that it would work. So good for him, but I do like bits where Jean has to argue so argue to Hope's mother. It's like that, hey, it was a good idea to like give birth to her. It's like in order to like save everyone. It's like and that like that stuff is kind of cool. And I do like the idea that the that the mutants who are like the Krakoan mutants who are exiled to the White Hot Room, basically the core center of the Phoenix's existence, are basically like now like running things. It's like, and if you're going to like try and give like a proper send off to this era, then saying that hey, everyone like there's a version of Krakoa that worked, that was basically like that works in the sense that hey, after everyone central to it was like exiled from it, then yeah, now that's good. But I can't help but think think that hey, especially I want to think that there's a version of Krakoa that survives all this. I can't help but think that hey, maybe there it just exists to be sacrificed as a hey, this next storyline or X-Men crossover is going to be that much more important because we've sacrificed this version of Krakoa. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think that Guyland's version of the end, basically a version of Mr. Sinister who fights against Phoenix, I'm trying to say that hey, it's like I managed to beat you all. It's like I managed to find a way to be more clever than you, and also the the hand wavy stuff that allows Moira McTaggart to be to have a it's like to have a redemptive arc for this. I do like that stuff. It's like it's entertaining. It's like even if wants to say hey this is stuff that happened. I kind of appreciate it in the sense that hey it's entertaining. It's like on its own terms. It gives me enough plausible deniability to believe that it works in my own mentality. So yeah, it's like I guess it's like trying to give a big end to the Krakoan era was always going to be like a maybe an impossible task. It's like given that it's just in the shared superhero universe where multiple creators have authorship over what's going on. But I don't know. It's like I think this works. I mean, Dugan stuff isn't terrible. It's like Ewing stuff is fun, and Guyland stuff follows through on everything that he was doing from the beginning, and yeah, it's like Gillen is one of the best writers in comics these days, and maybe it's like there's a lot of hand wavy stuff in his in his comics in these comics that that could have that requires you to believe that what he's saying works, but I think it does. And also I also like the finale in X-Men 35, which is basically the proper end to this. So proper that it's going to be in the Rise of the Powers of X Fall of the House of X collection that's going to end to wrap it's going to be published to wrap up all this stuff. And yeah, it's like that final issue also repositions Apocalypse as a proper villain as opposed to the anti-hero that he's been throughout most of this era. But it's it's a good wrap up. I recommend reading it. Also, X-Men the wedding issue, which I guess it also that I guess so I'm gonna mention the wedding the wedding issue. I got to talk about the fact that um, one of the things that was also done throughout all this stuff is the wedding relationship drama between Mystique and Destiny, because after several decades of being dead, Destiny was resurrected in pages of Hickman's X-Men Inferno, and she and while bringing back Mystique's wife should have meant a proper happy ending for these two. Well, this is superhero comics, so no, it didn't. And there's so much drama between these two, that followed afterwards. That I really appreciate it because I think Mystique is terrible in the comics in the sense that she is always trying to work for her own benefit and not humanity's as itself. It's and so seeing her and her suffer along with Destiny in terms of their relationship, I enjoyed that a lot, really. But that being said, the wedding special does make a good case for seeing them together as they go forward. And I will mention that if you haven't read Simon Spurrier's Uncanny Spider-Man Fall of X, which is basically showing you what Nightcrawler did during the whole Fall of X storyline, it basically serves as a basically a victory lap. Well, not really a victory lap. Basically a conclusion to Nightcrawler work on Way of X and Legion of X, and also a retconning of Nightcrawler's parentage that, on one hand, kicks out the whole Azazel like bullshit that Chuck Austin did back in the aughts. It's like in place of making Mystique and Destiny his proper parents. I mean, that's good stuff. But the overall story comic itself is quite good, even if it's like it kind of reminds me of the whole who was Eric Cartman's mom? Well, Eric Cartman's mom was also his father. Yeah, so that's what we're going for here, and it's fine. But I did like reading the wedding special, especially with Enola's bits about saying, Mystique is a terrorist. We shouldn't be giving her any credibility. It's like, yeah, preach it, buddy. Like, I believe you, man. It's like that was fun, but also Guyland's like framing Steven's bits about Mystique and Destiny renewing their vows were good fun. So yeah, that's all you really need to read for the reading list for the Krakoan era finale. Fall of the House of X, Rise of the Powers of X, the X-Men tie-in issues, X-Men Forever, um, Resurrection of Magneto, and also like the X-Men wedding. It's like wedding special. Just read that stuff and you'll be good. It's like I realize that this is a complicated stuff that has multiple writers trying to like you know like like offer their own versions of finality for this complicated wrap up of a big era of X-Men. But overall, I think it turned out all right. Now, I mean, yeah, I think it's also true because I was able to read this for free, quote unquote free for value of free, that I get this from Marvel Unlimited. But I will say that I am going to probably buy just about all the comics I told you about right there, because I'd still like to have that like in my in my library and all, because they were still good and not terrible. But as far as things going forward, oh man, that's tough, because this is a series that I even with Hickman's radical start to the series, I always knew it was going to be a walk back to the status quo. But I don't know. It's like I've been reading X-Men for a good long while, but I can't say that there's a lot of stuff that makes me go, oh, I want to read this going forward. But yeah, I'll go ahead and read like X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and I will say that it's like the new version of X Factor does sound kind of cute. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is like one in for X-Men, but you'll probably seeing me write about things more on the blog going forward. But I think that this is a good end to this particular era. And if you wanted to stop reading things going forward, then yeah, I understand that as well. So there you go.
Cool. Well, you always get some good value out of that, and then you don't have to buy the thing. And then
Yeah, it's like I really do
so
like the value that that Marvel Unlimited offers, even if it's kind of fluctuates depending on when they want to put stuff on the service early, when they wanted to get you to buy the the physical stuff, as you're doing right now with X-Men.
Yep. Do you know what you have on tap for next time?
Well, we're going to talk about the end of what is arguably not arguably the best series I've been reading for the last couple of years. That is Delicious in Dungeon, and assuming everything goes right, Steve of the Year to wax poetic about how good it was, how good all these 14 volumes of the series were. So there you go.
Catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.